Wow, here we are again. What a great day. Monday. Man, time flies. But I tell you, it's a beautiful day in New Mexico, and I love our weather. Not too cold, not too hot. Perfect. Last Friday, I went to a celebration of life ceremony for a very close friend of ours, Mike Brown, longtime legendary high school basketball coach at the academy. And I ran into so many friends. I mean, former Lobos, former high school greats that played for coach. And the church was packed. Much loved and respected man, Mike Brown. I ran into several of his players, like I mentioned, and one of them, maybe my all time favorite, because rugged, controlled the court. The court was his. When he played, it said Forrest Becker all over the floor. The ball said Forrest Becker. Every rebound was his. Every loose ball belonged to Forrest. He averaged 25 points a game and just rugged, but graceful and could shoot a perimeter shot. And funny guy, adventurous, outdoorsman. He's the son of former Lobo great Ron Becker, longtime great coach and counselor. And man, the Becker family, I love them. Everybody loves them. Forrest is in town now. He's a coach at Cliff High School, way out there. I love going to Cliff. I've been there a couple of times, saw a few rattlesnakes. And last time I was there, they didn't have internet. I'm going to ask Forrest when he gets on, do they have internet in Clovis yet? I love that place. Great food, the home of Pete Schock, the all time greatest winning coach in New Mexico history, a member of the New Mexico Sports Hall of Fame. I'm a fan of Cliff Athletics. And today I'm a bigger fan because Forrest Becker is with us today. He's here for the Coaches Clinic. Forrest Becker, what a joy to have you with us today. How are you?
I'm doing great, Henry. Thanks so much. And not sure I deserve all the praise you give me, but I appreciate it. But
Hey,
yeah, it's great here back in Albuquerque here for the Coaches Clinic, and ran into some old friends last night, and seeing old teammates and rivals, and everybody's just having a good time and enjoying all of it. And like you said, Coach Brown, his service was last week, and I know my dad and Ron Nelson were there, and Ron Nelson's first comment was, man, Catholics know how to throw a funeral. Like, just like you were saying, the church, everything, like it.
it was
And I wasn't there. Yeah, unfortunately I wasn't there, but
everybody loved Coach Brown. And the church
he was a great guy.
really reflected that the other day because it was packed there. Friends and family, former players everywhere. If you're a little kid seeking autographs, that was the autograph heyday. Do you agree?
I do. Yeah, it's a good time.
How are you?
I'm doing good, staying busy and teaching. Got my hands full teaching special ed down there through COVID, and trying to juggle all the paperwork involved in that, and got the basketball stuff going through it, and we're trying to get some golf off the ground, and I coached track this last year. So hold on, my dogs are barking back here. Denali, stop. No.
Good
Sorry.
looking pup. My goodness.
Oh,
Hey,
can you see him back there?
oh, white beauty. Hey,
Yeah.
you were a great player at Adams State too, and good role player. The coach kind of confined you a little bit, but you're just a team oriented player. You do your part, but you do it well. And in the process, guys have to go to uh, urgent care after the game because they got bruises all over them. How does that happen, Forrest?
Well, I remember one day in practice, we had a guy who was a freshman All American at Adams State. He was 6'9", 250 pounds, couldn't hardly jump over a matchbox, but he had great post moves and good touch. He'd hit a knockdown three. He actually won a national title. He transferred to Dallas Baptist when they were NAIA and did really well, played overseas for a few years. And Nick, so we had a loose ball drill one day, and I hate loose ball drills. Like you get it or you don't. Like you either want the ball or you don't. So we're doing this though, and I'm going against Nick, and I'm like I told you earlier, I'm like 6'6", trapped in a 6'4" body. Like my frame is, and then I got these long arms and short little, I just kind of stopped growing a little bit early, and so I always had to play bigger, and so I'm going up against Nick, all LeBron James size of him, and he smashes my ribs into the ground. I got the loose ball, but I was out for 2 weeks with. I thought I had fractured ribs for a couple days, and then got it X-rayed, and they were bruised, and I had to sit a couple of games. And but I remember I was battling with him one day in practice, and we were in the paint and guarding him, and he's a freshman, I'm a senior, I'm 6'4", he's 6'9". I'm not trying to let him get a thing. Like I'm not giving. No, you're a freshman, dude. Like stop it. And I remember we were battling, and he's 6'9", 250. I have a hard time like trying to win every single foot battle, and I was kind of stuck, and my leg was out, and I grabbed him and I just threw him over my leg down to the ground underneath the basket. And coach looks at me. He goes, "Forrest, sometimes you got to put them in their place, huh?" So, and to me, that's basketball, and that's the grittiness of it. And you bring in a little bit of football mentality, and that mentality of going and Jay Billis has a book out, and I didn't read it all, but he put a whole chapter on 50-50 balls and the importance of those 50-50 balls and getting percentages in your favor for offense on a possession that wasn't originally yours, and creating extra points from possessions that aren't yours. And so in terms of basketball, that's, you got to have the ball to score, to put it simply. But that's what's fun, and that's what I miss the most, is aside from being around the guys and laughing and joking, and is just competing and getting physical. And when the game gets a little chippy, and it's not always a finesse deal, like that's where I love it. And then you hit a big shot through that, and then you get all pissed off and start talking crap. It's a great game, as long as you keep your head cool.
Forrest, are you an assistant to the legendary all world New Mexico Hall of Famer, Pete Schock?
I'm actually working with his son. So I've been working with Greg Brown at Volcano, and yeah, we had David Cormier, who was a great athlete, and he was kind of my build, 6'4", and ended up going nuts in the state tournament and dunked on everybody and led us to a state championship. And then I went to Jemez Valley for a few years. Not Jemez Valley, I was at Walatoa out on the Jemez Reservation, and kind of started head coaching. And I worked with Cody Toppert out there in Florida doing prep school. And so I wasn't really in the mind to be an assistant coach. And then Brian calls me, and I met Brian through my dad, through Pete, because they coached against each other. And so he's kind of like a fishing mentor, because I've been trying to get into guiding for years. I grew up in Alaska. New Mexico born, grew up in Alaska and one of the biggest fishing towns in the world. So coming out of college, I wanted to guide. And I, and I didn't even really know Royce at the time. And, that's what I wanted to do. And so when I kind of put that one on the table, my dad goes, well, I got a guy we're going to go to. And Brian was coaching up at Aztec and living up on the river and guiding all summer long. So we've been friends known each other over 15 years now, going on 20 years, back to when he was coaching at PV and I was playing at Academy. We still talk about that. And so I'm actually working with Brian and guiding. I work with Wild Out Pro out of Farmington. You can get tags all over the state, outfitted hunts, 2-day, 5-day, stuff like that. Fishing, Brian's in charge of all the fishing stuff. And so I've kind of worked in with him a little bit, and he called me up. I was about to take a job actually near Adams State on one of my favorite rivers up there and kind of go back home, a little extension of New Mexico. And it feels like New Mexico. And I was out of cell phone service for like 3 days, and I come back in and I'm going to town to do my fingerprints and kind of start the hiring process because the job was mine. And Brian calls me up and next thing you know, that was that. And I went down to Cliff and went to the dark side, but really Brian's a great guy. And I couldn't imagine working with anybody better. I mean, Greg was great. Like, and I really learned a lot working with him. And, like I said, I was kind of in the mind of like, okay, I want to try and do my thing. And then Brian calls me up and it's like, dude, let's do it. Absolutely. Hunting, fishing, basketball. Yep. Cliff coaches. Let's do it.
There's
so
no
we're
doubt
having a
about
blast.
it, ladies and gentlemen. He is an outdoorsman. And I don't know what there is to hunt in Cliff except
Everything.
rattlesnakes. You ever seen a rattlesnake in Cliff?
Oh, my girlfriend killed it on the back porch.
Wow.
A big old one, about 5 feet long.
Rest my case.
And then her mom actually killed one too, killed a bigger one.
Wow.
So built a garden down there and Coach Shock he's got, I don't know how many acres he has, but he's kind of teaching me to grow green chili and grow some of my own food and stuff like that. So we built a little garden, and those stupid snakes are all over that thing. Scorpions, all,
Will you,
all
in fact,
Arizona of it.
Will you be an assistant to the great Pete Shock in the future?
Well, Pete's done. Pete's retired. He's our mentor. He's the eyes in the sky. So Brian's the head coach. I'm the assistant, and then I'm the boys track coach.
Oh, there you go.
And then we are also starting a golf program. So I believe I'm going to be the golf coach. And I worked with Noda a little bit and started teaching some kids back in the day. And so got a little bit of golf experience and doing small school stuff. So we're going to try and give the kids, something to do. They got a pretty good interest in golf. So hopefully we can get it off the ground and have some fun down there.
That's you having fun. And let me go ahead and tell people with enthusiastic talk here that you're the son of the great Ron Becker, one of the top 5 all-time Lobo basketball greats. Is that fair to say? Top 5? Top 10?
His humility would be like, no, not even close. He never even thought he was going to play. He just worked his butt off and ended up doing it. And his humility won't say that. His confidence, I know when he lets that ball go, he knows it's going through the basket. So, he doesn't matter who he's standing across from, or he wasn't really afraid of anybody. He played against the 1972 Russian team, and him and Ron Nelson and those guys, that team did a tour here in the United States to prepare for the Olympics. and Dad and Ron, the two Rons, the two local Lobos, they went toe to toe with the 1972 Olympic team, Russian team that, according to a bad call, beat
There's
the
you
US
and Dad
team.
right there in that great photo.
That one's gonna make me cry, Henry. But I got to tell one quick story because my dad was from Roswell, born in Farmington, all over New Mexico. Named me Forrest because he loved the outdoors, and that's who he is. And he's actually on his way up to Farmington right now to go hang out with a buddy near the river and just get out of town. He's been dog sitting, and so he needs a little vacation. But so we're playing in Roswell High School, district championship game my senior year, the gym that started it all for him. That was where his career started. And game we shouldn't win. It was the first year they put in the seeding, and we probably weren't even going to get a seed. We weren't even going to make it to the state tournament. And we ended up, our record against 4A, we were like 10-2 against 4A teams, and we pretty much got beat against 5A teams. And so our record was about 500 or so. And so we were kind of like off the radar, so to speak. And we go into number 3 ranked Roswell High School. They got A.K. Dennis, 6'9", Cheadle, 6'2", another 6'2" guy. They had a good team, and they ended up losing to Deming in the semis to A.J. Atkins and all those guys. A.J. is a good friend, and yeah, we still compete and play together, and we don't lose many games. we both also don't pass the ball much either. But no, so we're playing at Roswell, and it was the last game my grandmother got to see me play, and I hit a free throw to go up 1 with about 10 seconds left, and Cheeto comes down and he drives left baseline, and I was guarding Dennis at the top, and kid's 6'9", and so all of a sudden, and I'm not in the right position to help, like it wasn't my help, but I'm the shot blocker on the team, and free path for a layup, we're about to lose, and I go up and spiked it into the ground, and it bounced up into the stands at the buzzer, and so we repeated as district champions.
Wow.
And won it on the road with my grandmother in the stands. Last game she got to see me play, and just growing up as the son of a coach and seeing it for so many years, it still obviously brings a tear. But in that moment, I sprinted across the court and gave my dad the biggest bear hug. And to this day, that's possibly the number one moment in my life. So, and that's what it's about. So when you showed that picture of me giving him a hug on senior night, that brought back that game in Roswell. And I think I sent you guys a picture cutting down the nets, and Coach Brown's in the background. And after that game, and yeah, so, but he's doing good.
Wow, there it is right there.
He's on his way to go up and hang out by the river. So
you see that?
Yeah,
photo,
that was
Forrest.
I couldn't cut the net. All we had were tape scissors, and I was sitting there sawing away, and the net wouldn't cut. So I'm standing there I was standing there for probably 30 seconds trying to cut the net. Everybody's staring at me like. So.
Forrest, oh man, typical. Every time I'm near you, everybody's laughing. You keep people loose. Your personality is unrivaled. Very affectionate guy like you are, emotional for Dad. You got a lot of love in your heart. But man, you're the most fierce competitor I've ever seen on a high school court. You are number one.
Well, I appreciate that, and in light of that, I gotta pass that one to probably the fiercest basketball competitor that I know, and a guy I learned a lot from, and that's Cody Topper. And talking about Academy and Coach Brown and that guy, and they lost in the semis, and I could never get his single game scoring record. I had my career high. I had a bad shooting day, and I needed like 45 or something to beat his record, or 46. And then I almost got his points in a quarter record. I had 19 in a quarter.
Wow.
But Cody, when I first moved to Albuquerque, he was the first person that I met. And we drove around, me, Chad, Cody, and I. And Cody took us to every gym in town. We met every player. I got dunked on by Danny Granger before he was ever even a Lobo. And I was a dumb 16-year-old, like, hey, I'm going to jump with this guy. No, that didn't work out too well. But Cody, for guys that played at Academy, of competitors that I know, and I didn't see him play in high school, but working with him, coaching with him, and right now he's at the University of Memphis with Penny Hardaway and Larry Brown. And Cody is, he played at Cornell University, and Cody embodies Ivy League basketball. He is the brainiac of basketball. He really is. Like, that guy is a genius. And so
he's a physiologist right now who helped build up the body of Devin Booker for the Phoenix Suns. And I bet Booker credits Cody for a lot of his development and success in the NBA.
Well, Cody's such a shooting guru. And I mean, he spent so much time with it, and so much time with 5-star guys all over the country growing up. And Chad and I drove out to Pennsylvania to go to one back in the day. And so he just, I don't know, I kind of forgot what I was going to say, but he's all in, he's about it. And I don't know, I love the guy. He's an older brother, and shoot, he's helped me in a lot of ways.
You lead the league in friendships. Is that fair to say?
If I do, that's a good category to lead. I'll take that one.
Man, I was going to ask you about your relationship with Dad. He's such a humble celebrity. Everybody knows about him, his great past. One of the jokes about your dad, Ron Becker, was he wore out like 35 pair of shoes a month, in a season.
Basically.
The old Converse shoe. They weren't made good enough for Ron Becker. I mean, it's not a make-up story. You know the story. How many shoes did he wear out at the Lobo per season?
He wore out about a pair every day or two, sometimes 2 a day. And because, like, what happened, and my dad never thought he was going to play. And there were, at Roswell High School, he was the only junior on the team. 1964-5, loaded Roswell High School team. Guys going to Kansas, this and that, like, absolutely loaded, like, on a different level. He was the only junior on that team. And then they split Roswell in two, and then Goddard was formed, and Goddard was the next year. His senior year, he was actually a high school All-American, but he never thought he was going to play. He got up here and he was just some little country boy from southern New Mexico that happened to go to the Lobos because they gave him a scholarship, and all of a sudden my dad could go to college for free. And so he took it, and he just worked incredibly hard. He was an academic All-American, which is his biggest point of pride. And he would get done studying, and he would go out into Johnson Field, is a story that he tells, and he would run 200s. He'd run Steve Prefontaine fartlegs, and he'd sprint a 200, jog a 200, sprint a 2, and he would do that. And to this day, he actually still holds the record at UNM for points or minutes played per game over the course of a season. Lamont Long almost beat it back in the 90s in the Kenny Thomas era. But my dad was like at 39, or maybe it was Charles Smith or something. It was like 38.5 or something like that. And that work ethic that drove him to go run sprints after he was done studying at 10 o'clock at night that was where his toughness came. That was like, I mean, you've given me some credit, but I learned toughness at an older age, and my dad had it. And he learned a lot of that from Ron Nelson. And he credits Ron Nelson with a lot of that, who was a senior when he was a sophomore. So, and that's where, we all learn from other people. We all take things and apply them. But he was tough, and he was a tough coach, tough dad. Like, it's about work ethic, and
In the backyard, you versus dad. When you were in high school, he was a younger man. Who would win that battle?
Not gonna lie, he'd beat me. In a one-on-one game, he was a little bit quicker. He probably had a little bit more quickness than I did. I was a better jumper. I could get up higher. So we kind of got different things in that way. But he's just such an imposing figure. I mean, and especially when he was younger and, big old guy, kind of larger than life. Like, and he just, he shot so much over the years. He's the biggest trash talker. He's like Larry Bird.
Yeah.
And just subtly talk trash. And then all of a sudden it's like, and then I'm laughing. I'm like, Dad, I didn't expect you to be the trash talker. And he'd beat me in free throw shooting contests by one and whatnot. And he had a way of most of the time beating me. And I finally caught up to him a little bit in golf, and then I hadn't really played much lately, so I got to get back on the golf train.
Wow. He's the only guy I ever saw who would hit a ball in the rough at University South, no problem. And he'd stick it on the green with a 7-iron or an 8 or a 9 because he was so strong. But the rough at University South, you know how tough that is. Toughest anywhere in the world, maybe. But
when they let it go and they get it U.S. Open status or U.S. Open qualifier or NCAA championship like they can, and they get the greens fat, because we used to do volunteer at South, and so I played that course a lot. That was where I learned to be a golfer. And not that it stuck for too long, but yeah, South I love that course. Absolutely love it. It's one of my favorite courses to play.
Hey, academics were big to Dad, and he just shoveled that responsibility off to you. He was a great influence with academics. You guys, was there any better student athletes than you and Dad ever? Him an All-American academic, you straight A's at the academy, and Adams.
Well,
my goodness, why is academics such a easy road for you and Dad?
Well, I definitely wasn't straight A's at academy, and if there's anybody from academy watching, they're like, man, because we had a lot of kids who were athletically talented and extremely smart, but more so than extremely smart is they were extremely hard workers. And that was really what I learned at academy was how to manage your time a little bit and how to use free time during the day. And that was the best thing about going there. And I still say to this day, I learned more in my 2 years at Albuquerque Academy than a lot of what my college taught me. And some of that was because I got to college and my motivation, it took me years to find my motivation. Because I just never found something that I really wanted to study too much. But the kids at academy were great students.
The influence, the rub off of all those qualities that you're talking about right now. How much of that do you credit Coach Mike Brown?
Oh, he was vital in my 2 years at academy, and was really just like a father figure. I mean, he really was. And I ran into Coach and Greg. I was reffing, and I was out in Vegas, and I'm reffing some, game kids from all over the country, all over the world, and they're getting together in Vegas. And I look over and I see Greg and coach, and I'm like, heck yeah. And then Fish was coaching, AJ was there. They had all their boys playing. And so it was just great to sit with Coach Brown there in Vegas. And it makes me think back to sitting in his office there at Academy and just listening to him and just being around and just he was a great guy. And just loved being around, loved the kids and at Academy we have a saying that we still live by, all of us, is family. We're a family. And once you're a part of that family, you're a part of it. You're in. And so it's been tough.
How about Danny and Greg, close friends?
I got the pleasure of working with Greg at Volcano and shoot, we won the whole stupid thing and we're the 12 seed. Nobody even thought about us. And we're in it like, dude, we lost in the semis of the Metro by 2, playing terrible, when one kid goes off. And we almost won the Metro tournament. We almost won the Los Lunas tournament. We almost won this tournament. And then we got beat by Cleveland. And we were all sophomores in David Cormier. And then we had a junior Jarrell that could really shoot. And he hit like 7 in a game to beat Rio Rancho when David fouled out. And we won that first round game in overtime. And Greg is just, man, Greg might be as prepared as any coach, if not more prepared than any coach in the state. Like, he loves it. He's about it. He sits there. He plans his practice every day. He's got the whole whiteboard in there with all of his sets, all of this. Okay, we got our secondary. We got this. We got this. We got this. We got, and he just, his passion for striving for success is tough to match. And I really learned a lot from working with Greg. And my favorite thing, getting back into the Academy family and moving back to New Mexico, and did my master's, and like, oh, Coach Brown's over at Volcano, I'll go to Volcano and I'll do my master's over there and work with Greg. And so it ended up working out. And then he needed a spot and he called me and the day before the season, and I was getting ready to go snowboard all year. And then Greg comes up and says, "You want to coach?" Back in my mind, I'm going, not really. I want to go snowboard. But and it had been such a job for so long, and everybody's experience is a little bit different, and for kids that want to go play is it's work. It's a grind. And now with college athletes being paid, or the ability to be paid on some level, it's going to get even more competitive. And the kids who are going to make it, a lot of times, are going to treat it like work, to where, I don't mean like to the point where you don't enjoy it, but sometimes when you're doing something for 6 to 8 hours a day, you're lifting for an hour, and you're doing yoga and TRX for 30 minutes, you're lifting for an hour and a half. So you got a 2-hour workout, you got an hour conditioning, or 2 hours of shooting and ball handling. I mean, you're at 4 or 5 hours right there. You've got conditioning maybe for another 30 minutes. You're playing for, an hour or two. Next thing you know, on a real summer day, when you don't have anything else to do, if you're a kid and you're really competitive and that's what you say you want to do, well, you should be in the gym for no less than probably 5 hours.
Wow.
Working out for an hour and a half, taking care of your body. And that's just lifting. And then you've got trainings, shooting, working on your skill. And then you're playing pickup games and getting runs against older guys, this and that. By the time it's all said and done, you're in the gym 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a day. And it's a grind. And I was going somewhere with that. I don't remember what you asked.
Forrest, let me slow you down.
Oh, no, I remember what I was going to say. I remember what I was going to say is with all of that, and it can become that, and going back and working with Greg and kind of looking into different avenues within the game. And that was the funnest year, not because we won, but because of our staff, the guys, Jerron McIntosh, who was just won over at Del Norte. He was post game in the locker rooms with us because he was there the year before. Cesar Cuevas was Greg's point guard at Manzano when they won and has been his assistant for years and would be great in a head job somewhere. And Cesar was there. Tripp was there. Like it was a blast. We laughed so much and laughed post game. Well, this happened. We just had so much fun. And Greg Brown and Volcano Vista and that year really brought me back to having fun within the game of basketball. And for that, I can't thank him enough.
Forrest, you're never at a loss for words. You're interesting. You should be an actor. And it's just a delight to catch up with you and share airtime on TV with you. And I've loved your dad, respected him forever. He's one of my greatest Lobo heroes of all time. You come along and you're just like Dad in many ways. You remind me a lot of Royce Olney because of your love for the outdoors, your personality. You dress like him, you act like him. You and Royce, are you guys tight?
We are. Him and Brian are pretty tight, and then my dad and Sam go back. So, I didn't meet Royce till I was a little bit older, and yeah, we communicate. Went up to elk camp, took Dad up there, and I saw him last year. I was scouting for an elk hunt, and I saw him up on the border between New Mexico and Colorado. And all of a sudden, somebody's driving like a bat out of hell, honking the horn behind me. And I'm going, what is going on? And he flies in front of me and like points to the side of the road. I'm like, who did I piss off? I'm about to get in a fight up here. I don't know what's going to happen. I might get shot. And I get out and it was Royce. I was like, oh, man. So, and it's funny because Brian, Chalk, myself, and Royce, our birthdays are like December 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. So we learned that, and we're all friends and we all guide and hunt and this and that. And so it's like, guys, we need a 3-day fishing trip, like 3 coaches' kids, 3 basketball nuts, and go up and have a 3-day fishing trip for our birthday one of these years.
Hey,
but he's a cool guy.
Before we say bye, and that's a true story, because when I was at Cliff, I broadcast a game. We couldn't do a game because there was no internet. Do you have internet? do you have Cliff? And
if I said no, my girlfriend would probably hit me because if your internet goes down, she's the one that you call to fix it.
Is she watching today?
No, she's actually at work right now, and she was the Cliff girls coach last year, and she coached on the east side of the state. And so, yeah, she's been around a little bit, and she's actually fixing all the internet right now, and she loves what she does. But yeah, we do have internet, and it's actually pretty good internet, unless the lightning knocks it out, which has a tendency to happen.
I love Cliff, and I love Pete Schock. Say hi to him for me.
Absolutely, will do.
And I get the greatest love and respect for your dad, Ron.
We love you too, Henry.
So nice to hook up with you again. Forrest Becker. Wow.
Thank you. I appreciate the call.
Huh?
I appreciate the call. This was fun.
This is great for me. Well, we'll do it again. And then when you're right in the midst of coaching, whether it be golf or whatever, we'll check in again with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Hollywood, I call you, man. You're perfect for a Hollywood spot.
Hey, I don't want Hollywood. If you want to hunt or fish, come with us at Wild Out Pro. You can go to the website, wildoutpro.com. He's out of Farmington. We got Brian Schock, the head coach out of Cliff, who's in charge of all the fishing.
Yeah.
So, and Derek is actually a baseball coach at, I believe, Farmington, Derek Martin. It's either Farmington or Piedra Vista. I forget. I'm just not as connected with that part of the state as I used to be since I moved away.
Becker, ladies and gentlemen, see, you turn on that switch with Forrest and we'll be entertained all day. We have Chito Reyes coming up next.
Come fish with us.
Hey, don't go yet. Have you ever heard of the name? Because you're so young. This was a former Aggies star in 1970. The Aggies went to the Final Four.
My
And
dad was talking about that team the other day. He's
yeah,
like,
well,
we were
Chito,
talking about that team yesterday.
yeah, look at that. Well, Chito went head to head with your dad, and he's on the show next. Small world, huh?
It is. I'm gonna have to get off. The rivalry north south. I can't talk too much. I'm gonna get competitive. No,
Hey,
that's fun.
hey, how many gas stations in Cliff?
One.
That's it?
There's only 5 businesses. We got a gas station, real estate. What else is there? There's the internet, the school, and number 5 is a custom rod building shop. So if you need a custom fly rod, Darren actually, and I build them too. It's funny, like of all places, you move to Cliff where there's not a whole lot of running water. Like there used to be more smallmouth in the Gila, but some of the fishing, it's backcountry. Like we got donkeys, we got llamas. We're packing in, staying overnight to go chase Gila trout. There's world record Gila trout, big old snarling backcountry rainbows. But you don't think it because it's way back in the Gila and and it takes forever to drive there. But in little farming ranching Cliff, without a whole lot of water, one of the 5 businesses is a fly rod shop.
Well,
So that's a perfect fit for me.
I'll be there in the near future to do a feature story on you or whatever team you're coaching. Thank you for today, Forrest. God bless you.
Thank you, Henry. You too, brother. I love you.
I love you too. And you tell Coach Ron, big hug to him too, okay?
Will do.
All right, buddy. Be careful. Take care.
You
And
too, sir.
someday, I know you'll be going down the aisle with that pretty girlfriend of yours. So give me an
Don't start
invite.
that, man. Come on. Come on.
Oh, you're amazing. Take care.
You too, Henry. Great to talk to you.
Same here, Forrest. Take care.
Bye.
Forrest, he's gone.
I'm here.
Hey, give me your senior year at the academy. What year was that?
2005. 0405.
It's amazing how time flies.
It does. Feels like it was a couple years ago.
Incredible. God bless you, buddy. Take care.
You too.
See ya. Wow.
Bye.
What a thrill to hook up with my longtime friend, Forrest Becker. And I used to broadcast all those academy games when he and the Toppers and Mike Brown in their heyday, winning state championships at the pit. Wow, what a story. Let's go to our sponsor page real quick before we go to the longtime great academic All-American, All-League player Chito Reyes, Olympian. We're coming up next with Chito. But right now, check out all of these great sponsors. Oh, Amastroid Drywall and Ben Lucero at Indigo Mortgage. We got Kevin serving all that delicious food with Canteen at all the APS schools. And yeah, look at that. The Tabit family, Richie at Rax Lumber and the Building Supply Organization with 6 locations in New Mexico. Wow. Action, Jackson, Compaction. You want to clean your yard real good? Chuck Jackson will take that big dumper out there. You throw everything in there, and then his crew will come and pick it up and take it to the dump. Hydro Bar, wow, the Baca family, great, great people. Marty Seiss at State Farm Insurance, like a good neighbor. Marty Seiss is always there. My friend Marty is writing a book right now, and it's a good one. I mean, he's been putting so much time into that book, and I want to buy it. I'm going to have him autograph it, but it's going to be something that all of you want to buy. The book of New Mexico high school basketball history, written by Marty Seiss, New Mexico's #1 photographer. Nobody can outwork Marty. Nobody. He's always working, and he's always working for the kids. What a great guy. Man, love him. And we got the greatest producer on earth, Jimmy Tran, punching the buttons today. I am in such great company. Have guests on today like Forrest, Becker. And coming up next, Chito Reyes. He'll be on the horn here in a couple of seconds. Is he on? I can't say enough about this guy. As a friend, as a former player, I was a hero. He was my hero when I was a kid because his 1970 team went to the Final Four and had, I'll let him tell the story, but then they could have won the national championship. Let's go now to California, LA, and bring on one of the greatest Aggie stars ever. And Chito Reyes, remember, Olympian, academic All-American, along with Ron Becker. And I hope that Chito got to hear a little bit of Forrest Becker, the son of Ron. But we have to bring on Chito regularly because people request him. Henry, you haven't talked to Chito lately. Get him on. Let's check in with him. Maybe he's become the most famous Aggie of all time. Easy to love, smart man, principal in LA. Here is Chito Reyes. Chito, good morning. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Henry. You had such kind words, man. Thank you. How you doing? You doing okay?
Healthy, man. And
Good,
that's a big word today. Healthy.
Good.
How's mom?
Mom's fine. Everybody's fine. You're trying to deal with all the little tribulations of life today, but everybody's good. Everybody's good, Henry. Thank you.
Yeah. And we have to be careful because that virus is everywhere. The numbers are going up a little bit again. Hopefully we can defeat that thing, get it off the planet, and be normal again. Yeah. But we care about you, Chito, and people beg me to put you on. They really don't have to, but you really and truly become a favorite, a star to a lot of people, even Lobo fans.
Oh boy. Now that's saying something. I got a Lobo on my side, though. That'd be something, though.
You know, you think about it. Let's stop here. To be an academic All-American, you tell me how big a deal that is.
You know, Henry, I think that one of the most important things that we have to do in our life today as we're growing up is I think there's certain things that you have to follow the rules along the road. And I think one of the most important things that I found is that I always wanted to study. I don't know why it was a thing, but I wanted to study and I always wanted to kind of know things. I was always poking at things, reading the encyclopedia with that one book, you know, every book was a letter, you know, and I'd always, after dinner, I'd get it when I looked through it. And I found that it was, as I was going along, I wanted to play, I was in all the sports. I used to play all the sports, but I realized that they both of them work together, you know, and I remember some of you going up through high school, junior high and high school, you hear of an athlete, well, he wasn't academically eligible, you know, and it was a shame because he could have been a good athlete, but he didn't study, you know, and those are the things that I never, ever wanted that to happen to me. And I found that the more you learn about life, you learn about the ball game, but you also learn about strategies, you learn about just different approaches to different things. And this all becomes a part of your study, whether you study a book, whether you study a person, whether you study a team, and the knowledge, is the power that's going to make it all better for you, make it easier for you. In other words.
Wow. Major player, all league player, and being all conference on that huge, big time team. What an honor to make all conference, Chito Reyes, playing with Sam Lacey and Jimmy Collins and Charlie Chris, and all of you were all league. Tell me, pound for pound, how good a team was that?
I tell you, yeah, of course, I'm going to be a little biased here, but you know what? I felt so much confidence, and you go in there, and the most important thing that you had to do your job. And if you did your job, I know that I've got some partners that are really good at doing their job. And whenever we went into towns, at different towns, you see the newspapers would, the headlines are Awesome Aggies in town tonight to play Utah or New Mexico or Arizona State. They'd always, the headlines are Awesome Aggies in town. And we took pride in that. And we knew that we had a pretty good chance of winning, and we just did what we had to do. Plus, we had an excellent coach in Lou Henson. So that made it a lot easier, but you worked hard, Henry. And, you just want to be, you just don't want to be on the court. You want to contribute, just not from the top guy to the number 1, from number 12, you all wanted to be part of it. And
where
we all
did that influence come from? Chito, do your homework, study hard, make A's, don't make B's, make A's, Chito. Yeah. Where did that influence come from?
Well, I had some good family members, and it was just one of those things that not necessarily you got to study this subject, that subject, but being raised by my grandmother and a lot of people around me, my mom and my dad, whether they knew what you're studying, they didn't know you're studying algebra or geometry or whatever. They just knew that whatever you're studying, you better do it good. Do what you're doing, but do it good. And I think that's the whole purpose of the whole everything. If you're going to sit down and read the book and get something out of it. I'd rather you understand. I'd rather you do one problem and understand how you got it instead of answering 10 and you didn't have an idea how you got it. So the whole idea was to figure it out. How did you do this? And then that was one thing that, like I said, whether it's my grandmother, my mom, my dad, or uncles, or brother, or sister, it was always about whatever you're going to do it, but do it good. And I took pride in that. I wanted to. I used to get upset that I didn't know the answer. I kind of wanted to hide. Don't pick on me, but I didn't want that to happen. And I think that was the most important thing, that I just didn't want to fail, Henry. I just wanted to do things, and if I study something, I wanted to know about this. I wanted to know about that, and I wanted to be prepared. I think, but like I said, it's better to know how you resolved one problem instead of you answering 10 problems and have no idea really how you got it. You think you got the answer right, but how did you get there? That was the main thing.
Wow. As a young man, 19, 20, 21 years of age, in a town like Las Cruces, where you were a major celebrity in that college town. You'd walk around campus, you'd go to the shopping center, and people would want your autograph early in life, want to take a photograph with you. How did you handle all that special treatment and all that special recognition as a young man?
Well, Henry, to be honest with you, I didn't consider myself any kind of celebrity. That was way, way, way beyond me. That never even crossed my mind. And the only thing is that I always realized something that, I mentioned this before the other time we talked, when I first came down to New Mexico State. My grandmother, I returned and rejoined my grandmother here in New Mexico after going 3 years in high school in Los Angeles. I remember my grandmother called me to her house, and the first week of college that I was starting the college, and she always told me, she says, you know what, mijo, son, I don't want you to ever come tell me how good you are. Let other people come tell me, not that you're a good ball player, but that you're a good man. Be respectful and carry yourself like this. And that's what I mean. I never imagined that people were respecting me in that sense. I just knew that I didn't want to upset or do something wrong that might offend my grandma, my mom, or somebody. That was oh my God, that was something that was not about to happen. So you carry yourself like that and be respectful. And that's what she said, that, you treat people nice and they'll always respect you and they'll look up to you. So that was basically the same thing. I never considered myself a star. The team were stars, not me.
Well, I think that's a characteristic that all of you Aggies had. You were humble, played hard, practiced hard.
Yeah.
And you just went about your business. And there was such camaraderie on your team. I'll never forget that either. And I had aspirations at that time of being a broadcaster. And I was a kid loving the Aggies, loving the Lobos.
Yeah.
And I've really admired the Aggies all my life. If you're in Albuquerque, you cannot be an Aggie, no way, nowhere, about anything. But I always fought that, even as a broadcaster. If the Aggies were playing tonight, I read that story with love and enthusiasm. And because I pulled for you, with one exception, when you were playing the Lobos.
Yeah.
Even then, as a broadcaster, I would have to be neutral.
Yeah.
But as a high school kid in the stands at the pit, when the Aggies and Lobos got together, man, we'd sleep the night before in sleeping bags just to get a ticket.
Yeah.
And every time you came in there, Chito, you were facing a big crowd.
Oh, yeah.
All that rivalry when 18,000 was down your throat.
Yeah. I'll never forget when you run out of that tunnel into that pit, you're putting your life in your hands, right? I guess the crowd and the Lobos. It was one thing that we always understood, that we're in for a battle. As much as we respected the Lobos, we didn't really like them. I can't say we liked them. We were partners. No, we didn't. We wanted to beat them bad. And the same thing, they wanted to beat us really bad. And I remember, your Lobo, my good friend of mine, Petey Gibson, we go at each other, and I don't care whether it was Petey, it was Willie Long or Stretch Howard, whatever, you wanted to beat him up so bad. But afterwards, you go shake hands and run into him later on. Hey, how you doing? And it's one of the things that you always have to remember, is that they got just as much pride as we did. And okay, now let's see, you don't want to give up one basket, much less 2 or 3 against your opponent. And the same thing, that we weren't going to let them beat us. And I think the same thing goes with the coaches. The coaches, they didn't want. Coach Henson also took pride in having his team prepared and ready for battle. It's like Coach King, Norm Ellenberg and all these. It was one of those things that no matter what part or what section you're involved with that, the Lobos or the Aggies, everybody tries to do their best to beat your opponent. And it was awesome coming out of that pit. When you hear them booing you, that means, okay, maybe there's a reason. They don't know me personally, so I hope they're not booing me because as a man. They're booing me as a ball player, and I think that's one thing that maybe I've done something to make them not like me. So perhaps I did something right at the ball game.
The Olympic Games are underway. Mm-hmm. I was thinking about you yesterday, and that's how we made contact.
Yeah.
Wow. Playing in front of the world.
Yeah.
And to the world, I mean, I watch whomever's playing. Mexico, Russia, Iran, and Yugoslavia. Who is ever out there? Certainly I'll watch the Americans, but it's the Olympic Games.
Yeah.
It's the cream of the crop of the world.
Right.
Chito, you were out there as an Olympian. What's it like?
Henry, like every 4 years, every Olympic year, it seems like you go into this your memory vault and open it up, and then pick out that immortalized memory of the Olympics. You savor it, because it's something that every 4 years turn by, you just kind of seem to feel the same vibes, and you feel like it's just. I tell you, I don't know if a lot of people know that, but at that time, each for the Olympics, a country just doesn't send a team because they want to send a team. You got to qualify, and each continent sends a representative, and then the host country has a team, and then the last Olympic winner, so that makes a total of 9. Well, they have what they call the pre-Olympic tournament, and that year, and when we were in Montreal, that year was in Hamilton, Canada. So you have about 38 teams going to Hamilton, Canada, the fight for the last 3 spots to be able to go to the Olympics. So Mexico is the one that I was playing. So we go, and we had an excellent team. So we go to Hamilton, Canada, and lo and behold, after the first week, we were 3-0. We lost a couple of games, but then we won 2. And in the last game, we beat Brazil. And by beating Brazil, you should have seen it. It was like the buzzer rang, and a couple of my partners, Dave Nava, used to be local. He went to the Olympics. We were at half court, and we looked at each other, and like said, "Wow, instead of going to Disneyland, I'm going to the Olympics, man." And then so you come back, and then you kind of try to resort everything out. You go back to Mexico City for about a week or so, and then you tell me, now you practice. Now you fly back to to Montreal, and now you go in there. And I'll cut this short. I'm not going to carry on too much, but when on opening ceremonies from the Olympics, that was the first Olympics right after the massacre in Munich. So security was really, really intense, and everywhere you went, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police everywhere, on top of buildings and everywhere, they're protecting you, protecting the integrity of the games and all this. Well, for the opening ceremonies, Olympic Village was about 3 miles from Olympic Stadium. Well, they didn't bus you to the stadium. You walked in a parade from Olympic Village to Olympic Stadium through the city, and all both sides of the street were lined with people cheering you on. So you can imagine walking from Olympic Village to Olympic Stadium through downtown Montreal, and the whole town, the city cheering for you. And it seemed like it took like 2 minutes. You didn't even feel anything. And then you get to the stadium, you walk in, and there's 86,000 people. You walk in, and people there, you're cheering, you go around, all the countries are there. And then you walk around, and right in the middle of the finish line, as you go around the track, to the right was Queen Elizabeth. And Queen Elizabeth is right there. So the whole world is watching. It was a wild world of sports. And to be able to, you're like in a daze. You walk around, and they put you where you're supposed to go. And then you see the Olympic flame lit up. And you get chills. You get chills of doing all that. And I mean, I could go on and on and on. Maybe some other time I'll tell you some stories that to this day bring chills to me. But it's amazing. And I'll tell you one thing, I won't keep it long, but the athletes today, you talk about, they're watching, a lot of people say, well, there's no crowd, right? They walked in the stadium, but what I saw the joy, the satisfaction of every athlete that came in. It didn't matter whether they was out there, because, they're there. They walked in that stadium, but you know what? There may not be people in the stands, but there's people back home. The neighbors, everybody's watching it. I saw one of the softball girls, they showed her family at home, and they were all in the backyard. There was about 20 people at the widescreen TV watching the local girl pitch for softball. So back there, they're watching you. And it's a pride that I like to see how everybody's just smiling and so joyful, and nobody can ever take that away. So 4 years from now, they'll go into that vault and bring back that memory. So amazing, Henry. It's a godsend, so blessed, so blessed.
What a communicator you have become. People love the way you communicate. You do it with enthusiasm, emotion. You're articulate and such a eloquent speaker, Chito Reyes.
Thank you.
I mean, wow. Today, being a principal and all the other things you do in LA, wow. You've always been smooth and confident, and everything we've seen you do as an athlete when you're in Las Cruces and we watch you with people, you're truly a people person. But if there is one attribute that you possess now that maybe early on wasn't a part of you, but it is today, and not that you're ever going to be anything but humble, but is there one attribute that you've developed over the years that you can point your finger at and say, wow, I do pretty good at that now? What might it be?
I think confidence, I think, is something, but it's all a part of preparation but the confidence factor is, I think, that as you go along, I remember I was pretty shy. You can't tell by now, but I was pretty shy, like in elementary and junior high and high school. But then I was thrown out to the wolves out there in the public. So you eventually you develop a little bit of confidence. You have to, because you're going to be out there anyway. So why not carry yourself well and prepare yourself and be confident like I'll tell you one quick thing. When Coach Henson, I landed in good hands with Coach Henson as a 17-year-old, and what I learned with my partners and being out in the Final Four and doing all this. Well, when I left there, I was fortunate to travel with the Mexican national team, and anywhere we went, any country, anywhere, any competition, Brazil or anything, Pan American Games, anywhere, I always felt that I could. I'm put in a situation I felt that I was mentally, physically, and emotionally prepared to whatever challenge was coming to me. And that was because of the confidence that you learn and you develop like through someone like Coach Henson. That's why I'm so indebted, and he's always been a special person in my life. Awesome.
I was sitting on the north end of the pit, down low. I was fortunate to get a seat way down low, just to the left in the student body. And you came down court. Charlie Chris hit you with a beautiful pass on the run. You stopped on a dime. You went high, I mean high, in the air. That perfect form, number 52, lets it fly, and boom, you and the Aggies with your long shirts. You look sharp. Oh, man. But the way that ball hit the net,
yeah,
that's quite a sight for a player in a heated game, one way or the other, 1 point lead, or you're behind one or whatever, and the crowd, the student body's on your case, no empty seats in the pit,
right.
And you've got the composure to get the ball on the run from Chris, go high and hit that shot. And when you see the net, too loud to hear the swish.
Yeah.
Man, when that net flies and the ball is clean in the net, what's the feeling, Chito?
It's amazement because you that's what you work for, Henry. It's just a little, and you know what the thing about it is, when you jump up and you release it, right from it leaves your hand, you have a pretty good idea if it's going to go in or not. If you just, as long as you release it and the way your fingertips and the backspin that coming down there, it's got a good chance of going in, or you don't want to shoot a dirt ball. But both, that's why the whole thing is just being confident, and there's a reason why they throw you the ball. So
but when you squish the net, psychologically, physiologically, what happens on the way down to set up your defense? What's that feeling?
You've done your job. Now let me stop this guy, because I've always said, people would always say, oh, like in big games with big scores, anywhere you went, even in high school, you start seeing it in Los Angeles, you play against some really high class ball players, and even anywhere you went. And so they was, oh, who's going to guard, who's going to guard so and so? And he's averaging 40 points a game. Who's going to guard this? Oh, Reyes, you're going to have to guard him. Okay, I may have to guard him, but then he's going to have to guard me. See, so it's 1-1. So you take your choice. So we go back and forth, and it's just a matter of your preparation, like I said, and your confidence.
I told the viewers when we opened the show with you that I get recommendations. People call me, Henry, where's Reyes? We haven't had Chito on for a while, and they keep tabs of you, and they call me and say, Henry, don't forget Chito. Where is he? You become an extension of the star you were back in Cruise. Now you become a statewide celebrity. Don't be too humble, but people call for you when they grab me and say, Henry, get Chito on again. Man, they say, wow, that's great. And so I know in my eyes what you are today, several years after graduation. You could probably still put the ball in the hole, but now they love you for your leadership and inspiration, and their kids listen to you. Today, how are you received by Aggie Nation today? Because I mean it, Chito. Yeah. There are a lot of Aggies watching this show.
Yeah, it's amazing, and what a godsend, Henry. Because, like I said, those words that my grandmother told me, that when you first come in here, go in here, be humble. Don't you ever come tell me how good you are. Let the people come tell me that you're a good man. Now that all in itself, you go to a restaurant, you go into a store, you go to Walmart, you go to everywhere. Hey, Chito, how's it going? Like this, and I think it's what it means to me. It means a lot to the people too. And it doesn't hurt you to take your time, turn around, even give them a hug if so, because there are people come, hey, how are you doing? Are you still over there? But I think it was all a combination. The whole scenario, the whole ordeal, those years, that era, was the ball players, yeah, but also was the family, the fans, and the university. Everything just kind of blended in together, and it was super special. I mean, it's indescribable. Like I said, I always said that my favorite word in the English language is intangible. You can't describe what you feel, and when it gets to that point, it's pretty special. You can't describe that. It's a godsend. I count my blessings every day, and now that I see the Olympics going on, I treasure and I'm so glad for these athletes. They're short change as far as the crowd, but that memory is never going to go away, Henry. 4 years from now, they're going to open that vault again, and there's that memory where and it so happens sometimes. There's been times where I've just sat by myself in my living room and watched the opening ceremonies, and I get chills. I remember me walking in there, and it's just way beyond description of what you feel, because back in the day, you see these old movies with Hercules, and you see the competitions or the Olympics back in the day in Greece and stuff. And this is part of an extension of the whole thing. That's all connected to back in Greece where the first Olympics were. And we're still here. And then you're part of it.
Thank you. These sophisticated tools, a computer, the audio mechanics, having a producer who's across town, Jimmy Tran, the best I've ever worked with.
Yeah.
And so it's allowed me to resurrect a super celebrity who was big back in Las Cruces on the Pan American court. And here you are today through the magic of these gadgets.
Yeah.
And I can still be here to experience these thrills. And I love my work as much as you love yours over the years. And it thrills me, Chito, to be able to get with my producer, plan a show. We push a button and magic.
Yeah.
There's Chito Reyes
Yeah.
I'm Henry T. And here we are
Yeah.
resurrecting the good old days. Isn't
Yeah.
that a blessing?
Oh my goodness, yes. And you know what? It's now from here on in, nobody can ever take that away anymore. You can always reach back and find this 20 years from now, our conversation that you and I are having today. And I think that, wow, that what else can you ask for? You know, people are going to remember. You know.
Yeah, and I say that I was a kid watching the Aggies, and all you guys are my heroes. And today, to have the incredible experience of meeting you, here we are, close friends today,
Yeah.
and we can do this magic for a lot of people. That is so special to me,
Yes.
Chito. I can't even put that into words.
Yeah. But see, this is the thing, Henry, where all the athletes, everybody you interview, or any person, coaches that you interview, you're making that possible for everybody. And in turn, we're all grateful for what you do for everybody, because you bring it out, make it possible for everybody else. And I know I'll always be indebted for you. You kind of resurrected my name in a little bit. And it just makes this a good ego booster. And you always try to be, I know that what you've done, I'll never be able to repay you for just, having us back again, in the limelight of the people. That's awesome. Thanks.
Well, thank you for that. But it's just a reflex action. You're a part of my long life because, man, you did some great things.
Oh, thank
And
you.
I was an athlete who appreciated athleticism at your level.
Mhm.
Wow. Because once you hit that shot, you
Yeah.
speeded down the court, big number 52, 6'8" or 9, whatever you are, and you got back and you dug in and played Lou Henson defense.
Yeah.
Wow, what a thrill to be there. And
Yeah.
then today, that memory of you and your buddies, I can
Yeah.
bring out again through
Yeah.
these mechanisms. Wow. And
Yeah.
the people, I mean, I get so many compliments when I have Chito Reyes
Oh,
on the air. My email and Facebook will light up because when you talk, people listen.
oh, thank
And
you.
you're interesting, and you're that same memory that Henry T used to have, sitting in the stands of Charlie Chris, Sam Lacey, Jimmy Collins.
Yeah.
Wow, Chito Reyes and your other players. Give me the name of your bench. Give me some of the names. Burgess.
Bill Moore from Deming, Tom McCarthy from New York, Rudy Franco from Cruces. Let's see, we have Milton Horn from Albany, New York, and Lonnie Lefebvre he was from Albany, Albany, New York, yeah. And of course, we have Sam Lacey, Jimmy Collins, Charlie Chris, John Burgess, and all of us. And we're all brothers to this day. We communicate every special holiday. Well, we got a group text and we kind of wish each other happy Father's Day, Merry Christmas, Happy Thanksgiving. And I think that's so special because what we were back then, we're still trying to hold on to that. There's 8 of us left, Henry, of the 13, and there's 8 left, and we lost Coach Hansen. So, we really have to treasure these 8, and we're doing that. So, like I said, and how special it is to me, it's special for them too. So, what else can you ask for, man? It was a gift from God to us to be placed in that situation.
Wow. What is your height? What was your playing height?
I was 6'6".
What?
I was 6'6". I'm about 6'4.5", 6'5" now. Coming down now. Yeah, but I can imagine. I see some of those pictures. That's so skinny and running around. I could run like a deer, but that it's just funny.
How
but
big
I
was Sam Lacey?
What's that?
How big was Sam Lacey?
Oh, he was like 6'11", 6'10", 6'11". He has some huge hands, and it was just amazing. I remember the first time that I met these guys, when our assistant coach took me and one of the other recruits that picked us up at the airport, went to New Mexico State. left our bags in the dorm room and say, I want you to meet some of the guys. We go to the other dorms and at Alumni Hall, and we go in there and knock on the door, and we hear music playing. And when they open the door, there's Sam Lacey opens the door, and Jimmy Collins is sitting on the bed. They're playing cards, I think. But Sam opens the door, and he covers the whole door. And I look up at him and, oh boy, I said, you know what? We're with the big boys now. You know, that's the first impression that someone like, I'm now with the big boys, you know, and then it was not only in height, but in stature and ability and what a blessing. I'm telling you, I just go back and I remember everything like that. So special.
The game you had with UCLA, was it Landover, Maryland, the site?
It was College Park, Maryland.
College Park. All right. Sam Lacey gets hurt
Yes.
in that game that night.
Yeah.
Early in the game.
Yeah. First half.
Sam been healthy the whole night, because that was a close game. Could the Aggies have realized the national championship?
Yes. I you know, if you ever had a chance, like I said, it was, you don't want to blame and have an excuse for that, but you want to be, you know, want to go in the competition, you know, with all your full ammunition. And I tell you what, and one of the things that I've always believed in, if you're kind of more or less even, they were supposed they had better talent, but no, but it can make up in any game you stay within, you know, distance. Anything could happen, you know, a steal here, a steal there. And we were fighting. Yeah, we were starting to fall back a little bit. But the main thing is that when you're even more or less at the end, that's where Coach Sensei would come in, and then Coach Wooden. So now it's them, you know, not only us, but their coaching comes into play too. And I would have bet Coach Hansen against anybody too. I don't care who it is. So we had a shot, Henry. We honestly had a shot at it. And of course it didn't turn out. But then again, we proved our power when we beat St. Bonaventure easily for third place. So
reiterate it again so people will know what I asked and what you said. First game of the Final Four, you play UCLA.
Right.
Sam Lacey gets hurt early in the game.
The first half.
Yeah, and the game was close the rest of the way regardless.
Yeah.
But if Sam was on the floor, who knows? He would have contributed 20, 25 more points.
Yes, yeah.
The rest,
and not only that, but it's just like when the game would start getting tougher in the second half. Now you know you see the intensity, and now you pick it up. Whether you're supposed to do that out from the beginning, but at the end that ball goes up and the rebounds. Who wants it? And we had that intensity, and you know, and not just because they were taller or bigger. That doesn't mean they're going to get the ball. You know, we would want to get that ball too. So we never had that chance to deal with our big man. And you know, we were oversized, but like I said, we still fought. We weren't going to stop fighting, but it turned out we were short. But like I said, when we came out, now they beat us. Yeah, okay. And that was actually, everybody was saying that game was actually the national championship game. That should have been the championship game. Wow. instead of us, you know, like Jackson was. So we were, we had a lot of newspapers say that we were the best team in the country who saw us play, and that we had the best guards combination, the best big man, and just going back and forth like that, So that we had, everybody really respected, and we had a lot of people that were backing us up and wanting us to do that. But like I said, Sam got hurt, and
Now I've got Aggie fans all over New Mexico, all over the country, were crying 96 tears.
Yeah.
Big Sam went down.
Yeah. He was crying.
Well, what a joy. I love interviewing Chito Reyes, ladies and gentlemen. We can talk about anything. And look around. We don't have any notes. The notes are here.
Yeah.
And the notes are in our heart. And I love what I do, man. Every time I step out here with you and other people, high school kids, or with the great Chito Reyes or whomever, I love being here with you guys.
Of course.
Thank you for your presence on this show. People love you on this show, Chito.
Well, I thank you, Henry. And like I said, what you do is incomparable, because what you've done for a while now. I know you took a break, but what you do is, you not only do you for the people, but for us, all the people that you interview. It's a blessing, and thank you, my friend. Thank you so much.
Well, we'll do it again soon, because I tell you, I don't have to tell you. People are going to tell me. Get Chito on. How long has it been, Henry?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Henry.
Say hi to Mom.
We'll do that.
Family and Armando and everybody I know out there. But
okay, we'll do that.
Chito Reyes for helping me today.
Yeah. God bless, my friend. Take care. All right.
Take care.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Hey, Chito.
Yeah.
Real quick. If I threw you the ball on a court right now and it's out on the wing behind the three, could you hit that shot?
With my eyes closed.
With the arm tied behind your
you would
back.
like to think that. I would like to think that, but yeah, that was, I would, okay, before you go, when I was first starting to play in elementary school, I mean, just at the house on a dirt lot in an old rim and no net, I used to get a volleyball, and from the side, they'd be like 3-4 steps. And I always said, you know what? I want to go somewhere where I can always make it. And I would just shoot that volleyball and I would do it. And I get to the point where I could just pretty much do it with my eyes closed. Then I started extending it a little bit more. And lo and behold, that became my favorite shot throughout my career. And that's why I made it a little bit easier, because that's how I started, with a volleyball and a coffee can up there. Sort like that. Yeah.
Wow. Hey, what was the diet that Mom had for you every night after practice? What did you eat?
What are you talking about diet? The tortillas and the beans and the potatoes and whatever it was delicious. And chili, that was really good. That was a staple on that. So
amazing. See, it's a humble, beautiful, exciting story every time we get on the air together. God bless you, Chito Reyes. Be careful.
God bless you too, man.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, my friend. Take care. God bless. Okay.
God bless you.
All right. Bye.
Wow. What a thrill. And I know you're tickled about it too, because you love Chito Reyes. And I love interviewing Chito. And I really thank from the bottom of my heart, Jimmy Tran, our producer. I've had 1 million producers in my television career. Numero uno is Jimmy Tran, who's working with me today. We'll do a whole feature on Jimmy someday soon. But I've got some things working. My career is going to reach startup. I've got some plans I'm pursuing right now. So look out. Henry T is coming back with force. And thank you for watching today. We'll see you. We'll see you soon. And I'm Henry T. Take it easy out there. Enjoy whatever you're doing today. And do that, even if it's relaxation, do it with all your heart. If you're doing your job, man, like Chito said, do it as best you can. Have a great day. See you soon. Thank you. Jimmy, you said something, I couldn't hear it. I'll see you at Chili's at what time?